The sun set gently over Jetavana Grove, casting soft hues of orange onto the earth and the trees. Ananda approached the Buddha hesitantly, his hands trembling with uncertainty, his heart weighed down by fear of repeated failure. "Blessed One," he began, his voice trembling, "I cannot overcome my shortcomings. I fear failure more than I trust my own strength." The Buddha turned his serene gaze toward Ananda, his calm presence radiating the wisdom of countless lifetimes. Unbroken and unmoved, "Ananda," the Buddha spoke gently, "what is it you fear most when failure visits you and clouds your inner peace?" Ananda responded, his voice faltering, "I fear disappointing others, myself, and losing the light of hope that I strive to nurture within." The Buddha stood, beckoning Ananda to follow him to the nearest sapling, its delicate stem swaying softly in the breeze. "Look closely, Ananda," the Buddha said, pointing at the sapling. "This young tree stands, despite the forces that seek to topple it." Ananda stared at the sapling in silence, its fragile leaves trembling yet holding firm against the unseen forces of nature. The Buddha continued, "Its strength lies in its roots, which grow steadily, fed by the soil and nourished by perseverance. The sapling does not fear the storms that may come. It simply seeks to grow, undeterred, each day, without hesitation." Ananda listened, his eyes fixated on the sapling, his mind attempting to grasp the deeper wisdom hidden within those words. "Failure, Ananda, is a storm," the Buddha explained. "It bends us, tests us, yet it strengthens our inner roots if we endure. The soil beneath the sapling supports its growth. In the same way, persistence nourishes our souls through times of difficulty." Arun said, "If worth stems from purpose, how can I know my craft serves a meaningful purpose for others?" The Buddha replied, "Your craft serves when it offers comfort, inspiration, or joy. Worth transcends appearance and focuses on impact. The sapling does not resist the wind, Ananda, it sways with it, learning to adapt and absorb its force gracefully. Failure, my dear disciple, is not our adversary. It teaches us resilience, which is the foundation of spiritual growth." Ananda lowered his gaze, reflecting deeply on his fear of failure. Recognizing the storm within him that caused hesitation, the Buddha continued, "When the storm comes, welcome it, let it cleanse your doubt and allow you to grow stronger roots. You must strive not to avoid failure but to accept it as part of the path toward enlightenment and inner strength. Let the act of weaving be the mirror reflecting your dedication and creativity." Arun nodded, yet his mind remained filled with questions, seeking clarity to illuminate his doubts about his self-worth. Resilience is not born from perfection, Ananda, it arises from imperfection, from learning, from trying even in moments of doubt. Arun asked, "How can I find compassion for myself when my thoughts dwell on inadequacies and failed attempts at perfection?" The Buddha replied, "Practice kindness toward yourself. Treat your doubts like clouds. They pass without tarnishing the sky's brilliance. Within you lies a strength that does not falter when setbacks arise. It is the power of your own will and faith in yourself, Ananda, in the journey of growth. Even when the road ahead appears obscured by darkness or confusion." Ananda pressed his hands together in reverence, bowing deeply to the Buddha, seeking solace in the calm of his presence. Focus on the harmony between your hands and the loom's rhythm. Arun reflected upon the Buddha's words, sensing the beginnings of understanding but yearning for deeper clarity in his heart. The Buddha continued, "Remember the banyan tree. Its twisted branches provide shelter and sustenance. Surrender and learn from it. Instead, the sapling grows not in resistance but in harmony with its surroundings. It embraces the challenges and transforms through them." Ananda looked at the sapling once more, seeing its beauty and strength in its simplicity. its quiet yet firm determination. Blessed One, Ananda said quietly, I understand now. Failure is a teacher, not an enemy. Its lessons nourish my inner growth. The Buddha smiled, his presence serene, his wisdom like an endless stream guiding every soul toward understanding and enlightenment. Your fear of failure, Ananda, blinds you to your own power. Open your heart, and you will see your path unfold. Each failure, each storm, only brings you closer to the roots of resilience that lie within you. Growing silently, Ananda rose, bowing deeply, feeling the weight of his doubts slowly dissolve, replaced by courage and the seed of resilience. The Buddha smiled and said, journeys begin with a single step. Take each moment as a chance to affirm your worth. Seek perseverance, for it is through resilience that wisdom and enlightenment slowly take form. The stars began to appear in the night sky, their faint glow illuminating Jetavana Grove with the light of calm and hope. Ananda sat beside the sapling, observing its quiet resolve, its firm roots hidden yet vital to its growth and survival. The Buddha walked away slowly, leaving Ananda to reflect on the lesson of the sapling, the power of resilience revealed. He returned to his loom with renewed purpose, ready to embrace his craft with the wisdom the Buddha had shared. Another day. As the sun cast its golden light over the village, the Buddha sat beneath the great Champaka tree. Ananda whispered softly to himself, I am like this sapling, strong despite my weaknesses, resilient despite my failures. I shall grow. The merchant bowed low before the Buddha and spoke, Lord, though I have much, I feel hollow and insignificant. The Buddha met his gaze with compassion, sensing the unspoken turmoil within the merchant's heart, clouded by doubt and comparison. The sapling stood firm as the night deepened, its presence a silent reminder of the strength that lies within every soul. Another day. Another breeze swayed the leaves in Jetavana Grove, carrying whispers of nature's calm and life's simple truths. Bhikkhu Sariputta approached the Buddha with a bowed head, holding a broken alms bowl, his face marked with sorrow. Blessed One, Sariputta began, his voice heavy, my alms bowl has shattered. I feel failure in my inability to protect it. The Buddha gazed at Sariputta, his eyes kind and filled with infinite compassion, reflecting calmness amidst the disciples' distress. My dear Sariputta, the Buddha spoke softly, failure and loss are natural. They teach lessons hidden beneath the shadow of despair. He continued, look at the trees surrounding us. Some stand tall, others shorter, yet all provide shade and sustain life. Do you see the rising sun, Sariputta? The Buddha asked, his voice steady, carrying the wisdom of impermanence and renewal. Sariputta nodded hesitantly. Yes, Blessed One, the sun rises, yet it sets. The darkness follows before another dawn appears. Let your actions reflect service, not competition, and you will find peace. The merchant said, I have used my wealth to trade, but it has only filled my coffers, not the emptiness inside me. The Buddha replied, trade not merely for gain but for the good of others. Let your actions light the path to worth. The Buddha crouched beside Sariputta, his presence steady, his voice resonating truth. Your broken bowl represents impermanence, not failure. Impermanence reminds us that all things come and go. Yet what remains is our resilience to adapt and endure. Sariputta lowered his gaze, tears forming in his eyes. Blessed One, I see failure in my loss. How can I rise? The Buddha pointed toward the rising sun. As the sun rises after darkness, so too can you rise amidst your sorrow. Resilience, Sariputta, is the ability to find hope and strength when everything seems lost. When failure threatens your resolve, the alms bowl has served its purpose. Now, seek a new one without sorrow. Begin small, share kindness in your trade and watch your worth grow like a seed. The Buddha continued, Our burdens grow heavier when we resist change. By letting go, we open paths toward growth and wisdom. The merchant reflected, I often fear I will never be enough, no matter what I possess or how much I achieve. The Buddha said, enoughness is not measured by possession or achievement. The Buddha rose, his presence commanding yet calm. Life does not demand perfection, Sariputta, but perseverance. Failures lead us forward. The bowl may be broken, but your spirit need not be. Let resilience mend the fractures left by your sorrow. Sariputta pressed his palms together in reverence, his heart silently acknowledging the truth woven into the Buddha's gentle words. The Buddha encouraged, even the longest journey begins with one step. Walk with intention, and each step will carry you closer to peace. Resilience is the will to move forward anew, Sariputta whispered softly. Blessed One, I will try to embrace resilience, though my heart hesitates to let go of what is lost. The Buddha responded, fear not hesitation, for it is part of growth. Each step toward resilience begins with the smallest courage. Let courage guide you, Sariputta, as the light of the rising sun guides daybreak after the shadows of night. The breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers, enveloping the grove in tranquility. As nature reflected impermanence and timeless renewal, the merchant bowed deeply, feeling the lightness of hope replace the heaviness of doubt he had carried for so many years. The Buddha said, remember, worth is as constant as the sun, even when clouds hide its light. It is the essence of perseverance. Sariputta stood beside the Buddha, observing the distant horizon, its light mingling with the shadows of Jetavana Grove. As the merchant departed, the Buddha's words lingered in the hearts of all present, illuminating truths about the essence of worth. The wind whispered through the champaka blossoms, as if carrying the Buddha's wisdom across the land to all who sought it. The alms bowl, though broken, has fulfilled its role. Now, its loss calls you to seek and adapt with resilience. The Buddha carried with him an intricately carved mirror, its polished surface reflecting the golden hues of the rising sun. He placed the mirror upon the ground and said, look into this mirror, and tell me what your reflection reveals. Move forward, Sariputta, with faith in the light that follows every moment of darkness. Resilience lies within your spirit. The day progressed, sunlight filtering through Jetavana Grove, its beams casting warmth upon the broken bowl in Sariputta's bowed form. Sariputta reflected on the Buddha's teachings, his mind gradually embracing impermanence and the possibility of renewal despite life's challenges. The Buddha turned away, leaving Sariputta to ponder deeply, his words lingering in the air like echoes of timeless wisdom. Sariputta whispered to himself, resilience is the rising sun within me, guiding me through the darkness of loss toward light and renewal. As shadows lengthened, Sariputta sat silently, his broken bowl beside him, his heart lighter, his resolve to move forward strengthening. The breeze swayed the leaves gently, carrying the truth of impermanence and resilience through the quiet serenity of Jetavana Grove. One disciple asked, Lord, if the world reflects my intentions, how can I act with purity when doubt clouds my heart? The Buddha responded, act with compassion, wisdom, and courage. Let your intentions be the light that dispels the shadows within you. The Buddha stood beside the pond, his serene gaze fixed on the blooming lotus rising above the muddy waters. My dear disciples, the Buddha began, his voice steady, do you see this lotus flourishing amidst the mud that surrounds it? The disciples nodded silently, their attention drawn to the delicate flower that rose from the murk below. Untarnished and radiant, the Buddha continued, the lotus symbolizes resilience and growth. It thrives in the mud, without letting the mud define its beauty. Life is filled with challenges and adversities, much like the mud, yet, these challenges hold the essence of transformation within. One disciple, struggling with doubt, stepped forward and bowed. Blessed One, I falter when faced with difficulties. How can I rise? The Buddha gestured toward the lotus. Do you see how the lotus rises above the mud without rejecting it? The disciple nodded hesitantly, his gaze fixed on the flower that stood tall amidst adversity, embodying the strength to endure. The lotus embraces the mud, for it provides nourishment and support. Without the mud, the lotus cannot bloom, Buddha explained. Challenges and failures are the mud of life. They are unpleasant, yet they hold the seed of growth within them. Another disciple, overwhelmed by grief, asked, Blessed One, how do we remain unstained when our struggles threaten to overwhelm and consume our spirit? The Buddha responded, the lotus remains pure amidst the mud. Likewise, you must rise above challenges, without letting them define your essence. Resilience is the ability to endure without losing sight of your inner light. It is the strength to transform adversity into wisdom. They fade when your inner calm remains undisturbed. The disciples reflected on his words, sensing the wisdom that encouraged them to separate their worth from external voices and opinions. The mud represents impermanence. It reminds us that all struggles pass, leaving behind the wisdom and strength gained through perseverance. Embrace the challenges before you, for they are the fertile soil from which your resilience and inner growth will emerge. A disciple, fearful of failure, asked, Blessed One, how do we find strength to rise when adversity seems unending and darkness clouds our path? The Buddha pointed to the lotus's stem. The strength to rise lies in your roots, which grow steadily through perseverance and unwavering resolve. Your roots, nourished by resilience, keep you grounded even when the waters of life threaten to sweep you away. Each hardship strengthens your roots, allowing your worth to flourish. One disciple said, Sometimes I feel unworthy of the Buddha's teachings, as if my imperfections disqualify me from wisdom and enlightenment. Trust in the journey, even when the path feels uncertain. Resilience transforms doubt into hope, despair into strength, and imperfection into growth. It is the power to bloom amid adversity. The pond shimmered in the soft sunlight, its surface reflecting the tranquil beauty of the lotus and the wisdom of impermanence. The Buddha rose, his presence commanding yet calm, his voice carrying timeless truth that gently shifted the disciples' hearts. The lotus teaches us the art of resilience. Its growth reminds us that every challenge holds the potential for transformation, even amidst failure and sorrow. Remain steadfast in your pursuit of inner growth. Resilience is the light that guides you forward. The disciples pressed their palms together in reverence, their hearts silently acknowledging the truth woven into the Buddha's gentle words. The Buddha continued, Life does not demand perfection, but perseverance. The lotus blooms not because it is flawless, but because it endures. The muddy waters that surround the lotus do not diminish its beauty. Instead, they provide the means for its growth. Imperfection began to feel less like a burden. Buddha continued, The lotus blooms amidst mud, its beauty emerging from the very source of its challenges and imperfection. Do not fear the mud of life, my dear disciples. It is the catalyst for your growth, the foundation of your resilience. Similarly, your mistakes and imperfections provide fertile ground for self-discovery and the cultivation of compassion. Buddha explained patiently. The mud slipped through his fingers, merging back into the water seamlessly. It flows, moment by moment, adapting to its surroundings with ease. The disciples found themselves captivated by the simplicity of the lesson, their hearts absorbing Buddha's wisdom with quiet reverence. The day progressed, sunlight filtering through the trees, its beams casting warmth upon the lotus, and the disciples gathered nearby. The pond shimmered, its water reflecting the profound truth of resilience and impermanence carried within the lotus's steadfast bloom. Responsibility felt like a path towards redemption, not condemnation. Buddha placed his hand over his heart. The breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers, enveloping the grove in tranquility. As nature reflected impermanence and timeless renewal, the lotus stood firm as the evening deepened, its presence a symbol of resilience and spiritual awakening within the journey of life. The disciples whispered softly to themselves, "We are like the lotus, strong despite imperfections, resilient despite challenges. We shall grow." Embrace imperfection as a natural aspect of your existence, allowing it to guide you towards deeper understanding and growth, he said. I felt a sense of peace, a softening of the rigid ideals I had clung to. The pond shimmered as the night approached, its surface reflecting the timeless lesson of the lotus and the power of resilience. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.